Ken to introduce our guest speaker for today.
Okay. Today's topic, how we age and what can we do to manage it. Okay. A 67-year-old retired general contractor whose doctor describes him as her healthiest client. And 4 years ago, that was not the case. Over the past 4+ years, he's become stronger and more vibrant as he's gone from building and mainlining people's homes to sharing with anyone how he has built a stronger and healthier body. Bob will be sharing some of the cutting-edge breakthroughs about how we age and what we can do to manage it. So please help me welcome Bob Thornton.
All right, thank you. Well, thank you very much. Thanks for the introduction. And by the way, I'm also an ambassador with Santa Cruz Successful Thinkers. And I just want to let you know that this group and the people or the volunteers that make this happen every week, this doesn't happen just by accident. This happens because of a lot of hard work on their point. And I think they all deserve another hand. Because it really is a great group. If it's okay with you, what I'm going to really be focusing on is this topic called telomeres. And I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's something that's fairly new in our research into how we age and why. But before I touch on that, I kind of want to just kind of give you a little bit of my story, if that's okay. That's kind of what we do in Successful Thinkers, is tell stories. Back in 2009, New Year's, I made a New Year's resolution to lose some weight because I weighed over 200 pounds at that time. And my doctor had been trying to get me on drugs to deal with some of my health issues for years, and I refused because I don't believe in the traditional drug solution to things. Over that year, by December of that year, I managed to get down to 196 pounds. So I lost 6-7 pounds in 10 months. A friend of mine introduced me to a program, and within the next 3 months, I released 40 pounds, and neighbors didn't recognize me. And after having my physical with my doctor, I was told that she has never seen anyone turn their numbers around like I had without having any negative side effects. And that at the time I was 64, she said that if she didn't know I was 64 and she was just looking at my chart, she'd think I was in my 30s based on my numbers. And the last physical I had, she sat and told me, she says, "Bob, you're the healthiest client I have." And I said, "The healthiest old client or the healthiest client?" She goes, "No, the healthiest client." And I'm going, that's sad. Because I still got a ways to go. But I have to say that my wife and I both are looking forward to the rest of our lives, which was not the case 4 years ago. So, given that, there's also one thing I would like to kind of, when I start talking about telomeres, one of the things I'm going to be talking about is diet and how it relates to telomeres. And I kind of want to, I have a different definition of diet than most people. I mean, the dictionary describes it as, I think, the amount of food we consume for our body, either us or any animal. But I look at diet as being what we consume when we breathe, because we breathe in not only air, but that air has stuff in it, chemicals, cleaning products, stuff just in an environment that's not normal. Also, we absorb stuff through our skin. There's potions and lotions and things that we put on our skin, which actually absorb through our skin and are in our bloodstream within seconds of applying it. And those things also become part of our body. And then you look at the whole spectrum of food, and food, I take one step further, and that is that I believe that we become what we eat and what we consume, either breathing, putting it on our body, or eating. But I take it one step further and say, what about the food that we eat? What was that fed? What was put on it? What was consumed by it that modifies it and makes it something different than food? And I believe that that in itself lies a lot of our health issues. But to get back to telomeres. So telomeres are, the best description is, we have 100 trillion cells in our body. Each cell has a nucleus that has a set of chromosomes. And these chromosomes are our DNA. They're what tells our cell what to do. And at the tip of each one of these chromosomes is a telomere. And I compare this to, if you're familiar with a shoelace, the little plastic tip on a shoelace keeps your shoelace from unraveling. Well, that's the same thing as what a telomere is. It is there at the very tip of your chromosome, and it keeps your DNA from unraveling, as long as it's long enough. Well, when we're conceived, that telomere is about 10,000 bases long. And by the time we get to the point of aging, and when the aging process starts, that telomere has shortened to the length of about 5,000 bases. So it's about half the length of when we were conceived. Now the reason that this happens is because every time a cell divides, it makes a perfect copy with one exception. And that is it can't make the very, very end of the telomere. It can't reproduce it again. It gets dropped off. And so every time our cells divide, it gets shorter and shorter and shorter. So the more often our cells divide, the shorter and faster it gets deleted. And once it gets to 500 bases long, we start the aging process. And that doesn't matter whether we're 95 or 45. It starts. And that's our aging clock. Well, if that was the whole story, this talk would be over with. But what there is there's a unique set of cells in our body that this doesn't happen. And it has to do with our reproductive system. The telomeres in our reproductive cells, when they reproduce or copy themselves, there's an enzyme that's produced. And this enzyme goes in and rebuilds that little telomere so that the telomeres they actually shorten for a few milliseconds and they get rebuilt. And so the chromosomes and the telomeres in our reproductive system are exactly the same the day we were born as the day we die. Well, there's a group of, one scientist, when they discovered this, several scientists received Nobel Prizes for discovering all of this. There's one doctor, scientist, Bill Andrews, who said, well, this is odd. What's going on? Why doesn't that happen in all of our cells? You know, we just stay young. And is there a way of turning that enzyme on in all of our cells? Well, all of our genes have that ability. It's just that it's not turned on in all our cells. It's only turned on in our reproductive systems. He spent the last 10 years researching, trying to figure out how to turn this gene on in all of our cells. And they actually figured out how to do it. And they reversed the aging process in rats and other animals. And in France, they're doing all sorts of research on this. The problem is the way they did it, the products they used were so toxic that if you put them in the human body, it'd kill you. Kind of counterproductive, right? Yeah. Well, they've actually started to find some compounds that you can put in the body that do have a tendency to promote good telomere health and possibly starting to maybe turn on that enzyme. Well, back to what you can do today. One is there are products out there that are going to be coming out soon that promote good telomere health. But there's certain things you can do every day to make sure that these telomeres don't shorten prematurely. And these are things that we all know about. It's getting plenty of sleep, exercising, eating a good, clean diet. Don't put stuff in our bodies that you know is toxic. Hydrate yourself with good, clean water. You know all these things. The problem is we don't do it. And consequently, we are prematurely aging and speeding up the aging process in our telomeres. So I have a handout with some more information, and if someone could help me pass these out, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. Do I have any questions?
Yes.
Yeah.
What's thoughts on organic food versus non-organic food?
Well, the only thing that I know about organic is that you're assured that you have less toxins. Although I've read a study that analyzed and calculated how many toxins you're actually, chemicals and pesticides you're going to consume at the end of a year if you bought all organic versus at a normal, like, Safeway. And the difference is that you're going to eat about a half a gallon less per year. And that's it. You're still going to get them. It's just less.
So that's a yes.
Well, that's a yes. But the thing that is not, that I've never been convinced of, and I've actually read a study to endorse this, is organic food does not, if you're eating organic food, it doesn't ensure that you're actually getting the nutrients. All they're saying is it was grown in a cleaner environment. It doesn't say that these vegetables or whatever it is actually has the nutrients in it that they're supposed to. Even if it's organic, they're usually picked before they're ripe. They're stored and shipped. And by the time you get them, the percentage of nutrients that were in there are greatly depleted. The other thing, I read a study recently where they're now doing tests to actually analyze what's really in our food today, rather than figuring out what it used to be in it 60 years ago. And they're finding that 70 to 80% of the nutrients are actually missing from our food supply.
Soil has been depleted.
The soil's been depleted, and then you add on top of that the chemicals and the additives. It's modifying our food supply. They're actually feeding animal parts to cows, which cows don't have a digestive system to eat other meat. They have 3 stomachs. They're designed to eat grains and grasses. And they're doing, and so by doing that, and that's one of the reasons that I think that cows or beef isn't really protein. It's not complete protein anymore. It's something else that's been modified. So, you had a question?
Yeah, I actually got some of the answer by reading a couple paragraphs here. Oxidative stress, mitochondrial dysfunction is the big cause supposedly.
Right, I forgot to mention stress.
According to him, though, it's more your telomeres. But do free radicals and free radical damage and all that oxidative stress interfere or destroy telomeres as well?
It adds. I mean, it's just it's a cumulative thing.
It's just gene expression.
Well, it's cumulative. I mean, everything we do that is designed that is going to stress our bodies and not give it the optimal, environment to be healthy is going to accelerate the deterioration of those genes, of the telomere. Any other questions? Yeah, Fred.
Are there products on the market that actually make this enzyme work in all of our telomeres, so add to it?
There are some products that are coming out, and I caution you because there are some products that are coming out that are saying that they're doing this, but they have no background, no research to prove it. There are some out there that are reputable. You need, just like any other supplement or thing you go after, you need to look at the company and their background and who's really saying what they're doing. But there are some products out there to support telomere, good telomere support. But really, the basis is you got to get your basics right first. You've got to get the rest and the exercise and the good nutrition and be in a clean environment. Because if you're not getting that right, whatever you're doing besides that, you're just kind of, it's a losing battle. Yes.
I have a question about your personal health. What kind of a filthy life were you leading that you changed in order to be able to achieve this level of health for your doctor?
First of all, as a general contractor, and we're not notorious for being in clean environments, we use a lot of chemicals. I was a general contractor, so I did painting, plumbing, electrical, carpentry. I'm around a lot of sawdust, which has a lot of nasty stuff in it. So I had that environment, but for the last 3 or 4 years before this, when I was in my 50s, I actually had to retire from contracting because I had so much joint pain from the activity. And I couldn't pound 10 nails and be able to write my name the next day because my hands would be just frozen. I mean, I couldn't use them. And the pain in the morning is I had to hold on to things to get down the stairs to the kitchen because my joints were. I can tell you right now that I am more active at 67 than I was in my 40s. I am doing stuff that my trainers go, we have 30-year-olds who can't do what you're doing. And my wife who has scoliosis, I'm actually watching her spine straighten out from the exercise we're doing. So,
Wow.
yes.
Well, I guess I have kind of a question and a thought. I mean, you know, what you're suggesting is that, you know, we change our lifestyles to accommodate, you know, the slower degeneration.
Correct.
In the real world, you know, we talk about organic foods and, you know, getting out of the environment. I mean, is it practical that we can do this? That we can move from where we live? I mean, we can't control the air. We can not control the food that's available to us. If we go to a market, we go to, you know, the Saturday afternoon, Sunday street fairs where they have fresh vegetables. I mean, we can only consume what is available to us. We have to trust in what these people are telling us, that this food has no carcinogens in it or has no DDTs and all that other stuff. You know, and the beef, I mean, that really is out of our control. Do we not just not eat it?
And unfortunately, that's not part of this talk, but there are sources of clean, non-GMO, and my diet is non-GMO, gluten-free, wheat-free, dairy, almost dairy-free environment.
So how do those boxes taste?
I've been doing this for 4 years, and I can tell you that I'm very happy with what I'm doing and the results. I have done a paradigm shift in that I still eat food that I know is not healthy for me. I only do it occasionally. It's not what you do once in a while, it's what you do every day that adds up. And that's what I've seen, and I guess that's my message is you really need to look at what you're doing every day. Yes, sir.
So what supplements do you take?
That's a subject that we can have at a one-to-one, and I take a lot. I invest a lot of money in my health. I was more than most people, but I've seen my friends in my age who can't walk, who are in nursing homes, who are unfunctional. And they look at me and they go, what's going on with you? And I go, hey. I says, I'm doing great. I'd love to talk to you about it. Most of them look at me and go, I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
I'm going, if you're okay with doing okay, then keep doing what you're doing. I'm not okay with okay. So, you have another question? Yeah, Fred.
Your joints, do you think whatever diet you're on, does it clean out the toxins in your joints or actually rebuild them? Or
I am on a program where I do cleanses regularly, either a one-day cleanse once a week or 2-day cleanse every other week. The food I put in, I'm feeding my body so that apparently stuff works that didn't used to work. And it's all the body. I read an article once with the ability for the human body to heal itself is amazing in that, you notice when the cells divide, we're talking about make a perfect copy. During that process, which takes a few seconds, if there is a part of the gene or the cell that is not right, it's not a perfect copy, the body has the ability to produce an enzyme that will go in and repair and fix it so that it is a perfect copy in the process of dividing. I mean, that's a millisecond. The only thing that stops that from happening is if the body does not have the nutrients to do it. And therein lies the problem with most of our creating health is the fact that we're eating all this food. We have a plethora of food, but our food is malnourished. and therefore we are malnourished nutritionally.